we started to try to look for treasure. You will see that we tried very hard to find it. There are 6 children in our family, and then there is Father. Our mother is dead. I will not talk about her. We all loved her, so it is difficult to talk about her. We live in Lewisham Road in London. We are the Bastables. Dora is the oldest. Then there is Oswald. That's me. Then Dickie is next. Then Alice and Noel, who were born at the same time. After them comes Horace Octavius, who is my youngest brother. Everybody calls him H.O. We have a problem. Father lost all his money. His business went wrong. We weren't always poor. Now we are poor. Now we do not have nice things, and Father does not give us money, and all the chairs and plates and things in the house are old, and we do not go to school now. Father never tells us that we are poor, Dora said one day, but we all know. We must do something, said Alice. Yes, but what can we do? Asked Dickie. Let's read all our books again, said Noel. We'll get a lot of ideas out of them. Noel wrote poems and always read books. Then Dickie said, let's be quiet for 10 minutes. How can we find treasure? We must each think about that. Then we'll try all our ideas, one after the other. After 10 minutes, we all started to talk at the same time. But Dora told us to be quiet. I spoke first. We must save someone from danger. He'll give us a lot of money, because he'll be very happy with us. But there's no danger near here, said Dora. What do you think, Alice? Noel must find a princess and marry her, said Alice. I don't want to marry a princess, said Noel. I want to put my poems in a book. People will buy the book, and then we'll be rich. That's a bad idea, said Dickie. Who's going to buy your poems? We must start a business, I think. We start with a little money. We buy some things and sell them for more money. It's easy. We'll soon be rich. But we have no money to buy the things, Noel said. H.O. said, let's be robbers and take money from people. That's a bad thing to do, said Dora. But in books, people always find money in the ground. Some people hide their money in the ground, and other people find it. So, we must dig for money. Let's do it now, because I'm the oldest. Chapter 2. We started to dig in the garden. It was hard work, because the ground was very hard. We dug and dug and dug, but we found nothing. Soon, Albert came from the next house. We like his uncle who lives there, but we do not like Albert very much. But his father is dead, so we are sorry for him, and we try to be friendly. Albert's uncle writes books, and when he talks, children can understand him. "What are you doing?" Albert asked. "We're digging for treasure," said Alice. "You can help us." Albert laughed and said, "Ha! You won't find any treasure in your garden." Albert is not very good at games. He does not read many books, so he does not have many ideas. But I said, "Come and dig. You can have some of the treasure when we find it." "I don't want to dig," said Albert. "I want to go and have my tea." But Alice asked him nicely, and then he came and started digging. We all worked too. Pincher, our dog, tried to dig near us. Then Albert fell in the hole, and the ground fell on him. We could see only his head. We tried to get him out, but we could not. He cried and cried. Dickie went to get Albert's uncle from the next house. "Why are you crying?" Albert's uncle asked when he came. "I can't get out," Albert said. "Stop crying, please," said his uncle. "We're trying to find treasure," Alice said. "I think we were close." Albert's uncle started digging Albert out of the ground. When he pulled him out, he was all dirty. "Look, look," said Albert's uncle. "You were right. You were close to some treasure. There it is, in the hole." He sat down and took something out of the hole. We all ran and looked. And there, in his hand, was £1. "There was no money in the hole before," Dora said, and looked at Albert's uncle. "You are lucky," said Albert's uncle. "The first time you look for treasure, you find some." Chapter 3. "With this money, we can start a business," said Dickie. "No," said Dora. "We must get much more first." "And I want to buy a pencil," said Noel. We all wanted to buy things. Soon we had only 10 pence. "We found some treasure," I said, "but we aren't rich. What are we going to do next?" "Let's take my poems to a newspaper," Noel said. "I think they'll buy them for a lot of money." We wrote 6 of Noel's poems on some paper. Then he and I took the train into London. I went with him because I am older. A woman sat down near us in the train. We started talking to her. "This is my brother Noel," I said. "We're going to London to sell his poems to a newspaper. We want to help our father. He has no money." "I'm very interested," the woman said. "I write poems too, you know. I'm always happy to meet a writer of poems. My name is Mrs. Leslie. Can I read your poems, Noel? I will show you some of my poems too." She read Noel's poems. "I like them a lot," she said. "I think you'll be a famous writer of poems one day." When the train stopped, she tried to give us some money. "No, thank you," I said. "We mustn't take money from people when we don't know them." "You're right," said the woman. But when you get home, tell your father my name. You can send the money back to me, or have it. Your father will tell you what you must do." We said goodbye and left the train. All the newspapers have their offices on Fleet Street, so we went there. We walked into the first newspaper office in the street. "What do you two boys want?" asked a man. "We want your newspaper to buy Noel's poems," I said. "Wait here," said the man. We sat down on chairs near the front door. The man went away. We waited a long time. Then a different man came and smiled at us. He had a moustache. "The boss of the newspaper can't see you now," he said. "Why are you here?" Noel was quite angry. "Tell him that I'm a friend of Mrs. Leslie," he said. "I write poems too, and I want him to buy my poems." The man with the moustache went away again. Soon he came back. "He'll see you now," he said. He smiled again. We went with him up into the office. We came to a big room, and there was the boss. "You're friends of Mrs. Leslie?" he said. "Yes," I said. "She gave us some money, so we must be friends." "Do you write the poems?" he asked me. "No. This is my brother Noel. He writes the poems." Why did he think it was me? I am strong, not weak, because I play outside and do not stay inside and read books. Noel gave him the poems. The newspaper boss started to read them. He read one of them, and then he turned his head away. We could not see his face. At home that evening, Noel said, "The man thought my poems were sad, I think, and he didn't want us to see him sad." He read all the poems, and then he said, "I like your poems very much, young man. How much do you want me to pay for them?" Noel was very happy. "Please give me a lot," he said. "It's important. Our father is poor now, and we're trying to get a lot of money for him and our family." "That's a very good thing to do," the man said. "But first, do you want some tea?" We sat and drank a cup of tea with the newspaper man, and then he gave Noel £1 for his poems. Noel went red and then white. He could not say anything, so I said, "Thank you very much. You're very good." "Go home now," the man said, "and bring me some more poems in about 10 years. I'm only taking these poems now because I like them, but this newspaper doesn't usually buy poems." "What do you put in your newspaper?" I asked. "Oh, stories about famous people," he answered. "Do you know any?" "We often see Lord Tottenham in the park," I said. "He talks when there's nobody there. Do you want to put that in your newspaper?" "Yes, that's very good," the man said. "Thank you. I'll give you some more money for that. Here you are." Noel quickly wrote a poem about the newspaper man and gave it to him. He liked it a lot. Then we all said goodbye, and home we went with more than £1. But the man never put Noel's poems in his newspaper. Much later, we saw a story in a different newspaper, and Noel's poems were in the story. The story was about two boys. They wanted to sell poems to a newspaper. "The writer of the story is laughing at the boys," I said. But Noel was happy. His poems were in a newspaper. Chapter 4. We did not look for the princess, but we found her, and Noel did marry her, but we did not get any treasure from it. We often played in Greenwich Park. The park is very big, and there are always new things to see. One day in the park, Alice said, "Let's play that we're hungry people in the old days, and we're looking for an animal to eat." "I'll be the animal," Noel said. Noel hid in the trees, and we followed him and tried to find him. "Look," said Dora. "This is a new place. There's a door over there." The door was open. Noel was inside, in a garden. Next to him was a little girl. "Who are you?" said the little girl. "I'm a famous fighter," said Noel. He forgot that he was an animal. "And I'm a princess," said the little girl. We liked her a lot. She was very good at games. "Are you all famous fighters too?" she asked us. She spoke English, but she was not from England. "Yes," we said. "Where is your coach?" asked the girl. "How did you come here?" "We don't have a coach," I said. "We walked through the park." "What's your name?" Dickie asked. She started to tell us her name, and when she started, it was a long time before she stopped. The first names were Pauline, Alexandra, and Alice. Mary was in there, and Victoria was too. We all heard Victoria. The last names were Hildegard Kunigond, or something. Princess of some place. "She has 50 names," H.O. said. "No, only 18, said Dickie. "Why are you here in England?" Dora asked. "We're visiting Queen Victoria," said the little girl. She was very good at games. "Will you play with us in the park?" I asked. "I mustn't go into the park," she said sadly. "I want to climb trees, but I mustn't get dirty, and they say it's dangerous for a princess." "We must go home soon," Noel said, "so let's marry now." The little girl did not understand, but then she did, and Noel married her. Then we played some other games. She liked to play catch. She ran after Dickie, but then she suddenly stopped. Her face was sad. We saw two old women with small mouths and dark hair. "Pauline," said one of the women, "who are these children?" "They're famous fighters," said the little girl. "No, they're not," said the woman. "They're only children." "But I'm happy to play with them," said the little girl, and she ran to us. "Wilson," said the woman, "carry the princess inside the house." And the other woman came and caught the little girl and carried her away. Then the first woman said, "Go away now, or I'll call the police." So we went back to the park.